Gentlemen, please. Shouting out upsets a player's concentration. Please don't do it.
The 1985 Sports Personality of the Year was an Irishman, but it wasn't to be Dennis Taylor, it was Barry McGuigan. He too from a small town in Ireland, the underdog taking on a machine. And by the time Christmas 1985 came about, both of them shared a massive affinity. What is it about the Irish where they have to be underdogs? I mean, Dennis never led against Steve. He was 17-15 down at this stage, and I mean, he's got to win the last 3 frames. No more room for error. Why do the Irish thrive when we're against the wall?
Lots of people say, well, you know, snooker players aren't real athletes, but the level of concentration that they have to have, and all the people in the auditorium screaming and shouting, he just showed phenomenal powers of recovery and fight back. Just amazing.
Your father was this huge inspiration to you, and unfortunately Dennis had this backdrop of just losing his mother, who was his inspiration, and he might not have lifted a cue again. It happened with you when you lost your father. It happened with him when he lost his mother. Yeah. Do you believe in that, the fate of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe my dad's in a better place, and I believe my brother who committed suicide in '94, I believe they're with me. I believe that when times get tough, you know, and it's interesting. I watched Dennis between those frames, and I watched him as he sat down, and I looked and thought, what is going through his mind? What is he thinking about? Was he thinking, you know, Mum, where are you? You know, come and give me the strength or whatever. But he was able to garner the strength and the psychology and the you know, the toughness of mind and the sureness to make those decisions, those little incremental mistakes that can destroy you.
Tell me a little bit about the mid-80s. It wasn't just about what you were doing in the ring or at the table, was it? There was so many other connotations. People wanted to know your politics, your religion.
Yeah. I was just sick to death of it, and it was a tragic time for Northern Ireland. Everywhere you went, it was just so intimidating, so frightening. And I remember thinking, the one thing I want to do is I want to bring people together. I'm not going to wear any colours. I didn't want to have anybody label me, and I wouldn't do that. And I suppose a certain section of the community wouldn't have liked that. I didn't care about those because they weren't my supporters in any case. And Dennis was exactly the same. And he was such a lovely man and such a great representative, and everybody wanted him to do well and be successful. In modern sport, there's so many arrogant sportsmen and cocky and conceited people, and you know, the world's full of that, and the ordinary Joe on the street doesn't like that sort of arrogance. They can put up with it and tolerate it for a time, but after a while, and my old man used to say to me, Barry, just, you know, keep it simple, son, you know, and make as many friends as you can on the way up, because you see, when you're on your way down, they don't go, oh, let you slide down. So just, I mean, I enjoy people, I enjoy company, and it's difficult for me to be rude to people, and it's exactly the same with Dennis.
Regardless of any religion, people in Northern Ireland and all of Ireland were on their feet for Dennis and were backing him.
Without a doubt.
I'm 325 miles from the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. I'm in Coal Island, County Tyrone, Northern Ireland, home of Dennis Taylor. And in this snooker club, Gervin's, that's where he cut his teeth. And I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm interested to find out the inspiration, the strength that he got to come back again and again and again in the '85 final against a machine. Brenda's his sister. I've met her before, and her husband Seamus should have a welcoming committee as well. Was he a bit of an absentee brother in terms of you would know where to find him if you needed him, but he would just come straight down here?
You found him in the snooker hall.
What he did do was, he would have come down, he would have played a game of snooker. He didn't have any money, so the boys would have given him a cigarette. He didn't smoke, he never did. So he would have played for a cigarette. So he used to bring the cigarette home to Mum. Mum smoked. And she would give him threepence for the cigarette, so he would come down and play another game of snooker. So that's how he got his money to play snooker.
What was it like in here, his own snooker club, on the night of the final session? I mean, you mustn't have been able to move.
It was one of those moments you say to yourself, you know, am I really here? Is it really happening? You know, this is someone from your own town, a chance to be world champion. And everybody was engrossed in it. It was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable atmosphere, you know. But how the actual lead up to it, you know, you couldn't write the script for it. What happened in that particular world final? I don't think it's been a world final like it since.
All the rest, my sisters and brothers-in-law had all went to the final. They were all over there, and I stayed at home with Dad.
I have to own up because I was whistling.
Dennis Taylor.
The referee had pointed to me, to the stewards, to put me out.
Gentlemen steward is the instruction. Contact the whistler and it's going to your door, please. Whoever it is.
Lucky enough, I apologised to the stewards and
We kept you then.
I got staying on. Thank God.
If you could be honest with me, Piers, were you thinking, you know, he's had his chance, he's done the town proud, but it's another step too far. He can't possibly pull another frame back, let alone 3.
We're from Killeigh, and you see we have great faith.
And it's there. And the audience as thrilled as Dennis Taylor as he saves the match, now 1 frame behind at 17-16.
But I knew at 17-15 that I really, you know, your back's against the wall, but I had to pull all the stops out. But I think at that stage what helped me was I'd won 6 frames the night before.
Yeah.
So you're saying to yourself, listen, if I can win 6 frames, there's no reason why I can't win 3, and that's what you're telling yourself.
You forget sometimes how great Dennis is as a player and how great snooker he was playing at that period of his career. And to come back, you know, he shows you the character of the man.
Steve Davis then concedes that particular frame, and Dennis Taylor, a very satisfied Irishman, sits there with the frames all square, 17 each.
I'm in the Workman's Club in Cricklewood, and the final's just gone 17-17. The bar steward is not happy. Comes from behind the bar, up to the TV, switches it off. We're all sitting there, gobsmacked. So up I get, there's a few murmurs, like, I put my finger on the TV on-off button, and I hear in the background, McBride, you turn that TV on, you'll be up in front of the committee by Wednesday, that I'll promise you. And I'm thinking, what do? I thought, I can't miss this. So I switch it on. I sit back down, I get a big round of applause, and we carry on watching the final. Anyway, next night, up I go for a pint of the game of snooker. There's a letter on the door for me. Open up the letter, true to his word, I'm in front of the committee on the Wednesday. Up I go to the committee on the Wednesday, barred me to 3 months.
John Williams refereed every frame of the 85 final, and I think he had the best seat in the house. I say best seat, he wasn't allowed to sit down, but... John, you've announced the beginning of 1 million frames, but I'd imagine none as intense as the 35th frame of the 85 final. So tell me at the start of that 35th frame, who did you think was going to win the title?
I honestly and sincerely hadn't got the clue. I just wanted it finished.
The world champion puts the cue ball right underneath the ball cushion.
When I was under extreme pressure, I used to get a little bit red in the face. And that last frame, I remember looking at Steve. Steve was going the opposite.
They were going grey by the minute, whereas you had 2 fairly young gentlemen playing a snooker match. Suddenly, they seemed to get to middle age and then look like old age. Their faces were changing, and they just really, I think, would have preferred to have been anywhere except there for that final frame.
When you get to a 1-frame shootout, all you're thinking is, let me get a chance early on. Just please, let me get 1 chance. I don't want to have to spend the last frame sitting in the seat.
Any mistake now, very expensive. This the final frame of the World Championship 1985.